You liked them yesterday. You really did. And then this morning, they send a text that says, "Good morning," with a little sun emoji, and something inside you just curdles. Suddenly, the way they run to catch the bus or the socks they wear with sandals feels completely unbearable. 64% of single adults have experienced this exact sudden drop in attraction. For the majority of the dating population, this visceral recoil is a standard part of the experience rather than a rare glitch. People call it the ick, and it walks in wearing the costume of absolute clarity. It tells a very convincing story that you've just seen who this person really is, and that you are finally waking up to the truth and dodging a bullet. But before you delete their number, we have to look at the timing. If their traits didn't actually change, then we have to consider if this disgust is a report on them or a signal that you've reached a level of proximity that triggers an automatic psychological defense. To understand why the ick feels so urgent, we have to look at when it shows up. If we rewind the tape, on your last major recoil, I'd bet it didn't arrive in a vacuum. It tends to strike right after a moment of real closeness. Maybe they opened up about their childhood or told you how much they like you. It shows up on the heels of vulnerability. That timing is the entire mechanism. This diagram illustrates a psychological process called deactivation. For those with avoidant attachment, intimacy signals deep danger to the nervous system. When closeness gets near, the brain perceives a threat and forcefully turns the attachment drive down like a dimmer switch. Admitting that intimacy is terrifying feels vulnerable. To avoid that truth, the subconscious mind hunts for an excuse to pull away. It finds the way they chew, it finds the sandals. A harmless quirk becomes a defect, the perfect alibi for the brain to safely end the relationship. The visceral disgust is genuinely there in your body, but it's pointing at the wrong target. Your fear has drafted a story about their flaws, just so it can leave the room with its dignity intact. Attachment style is only one half of the engine. The ick is also fueled by the quiet tyranny of perfectionism. Modern swipe culture creates an illusion of endless supply, training us to treat human beings like they are products on a menu. When you build a flawless cinematic fantasy of who a partner should be, reality eventually fails to match the highlight reel. A person's natural human awkwardness starts to look like a reason to send them back. This animation maps out what researchers call the withdrawal demand pattern. When you feel the ick and start to pull back, the other person senses the temperature drop. They naturally reach out to close the gap you just opened. Their attempt to find reassurance registers as neediness. For an avoidant nervous system, that neediness is an allergen, causing you to withdraw even harder until the connection finally snaps. Promising relationships quietly collapse over a laugh or a pair of socks. One person walks away feeling smothered, the other feels abandoned, and the ick takes the blame for a collapse that was actually driven by fear. If you want proof that the ick is a reflection of you, look at the emotional hangover it leaves behind. When someone actually crosses your boundaries, you usually feel steady and clear. A fear-based exit feels contradictory, leaving you unsettled and guilty. There is a clear diagnostic rule for these moments. Real dealbreakers are based on behavior and crossed boundaries. A fear-based ick clusters around harmless aesthetics and strikes immediately after a moment of warmth. This means the people most likely to trigger your alarm are the safe, steady, and consistent ones. Their very reliability is what makes your nervous system nervous, because consistency leads directly to the closeness your wiring learned to fear. By pausing to differentiate between a partner's true flaws and a personal fear of intimacy, you stop running from the right people. This is the moment closeness stops being a threat and starts becoming a place you are finally willing to stay.